So the other day, I was reading this book, The Parasitic Mind by Gad Saad, How Infectious Ideas Are Killing Common Sense. I got to tell you something, folks. It's a lot more than just common sense that's being killed by bad ideas. I was just reading a section in there that was talking about the Charlie Hebdo cartoons. He was talking about how ideologies that are fragile are not able to take criticism. They don't hold up to satire. And if you follow Gad Saad at all, you know satire is his thing. Anyway, so right after I was reading that section in his book, I turn on Twitter and lo and behold, there's a story and these cartoons came up again. So what happened this weekend, I believe it was Friday, right after I read this section, there was a story about these Charlie Hebdo cartoons being shown in a middle school class in the suburbs of Paris. A 13-year-old that was in the class was somewhat offended by these cartoons. She then posted her displeasure with these cartoons on Twitter. She complained to her father. Her father, along with an imam, they issued a fatwa, which is what we would call a judgment. The father then was trying to get the teacher fired, so trying to get the guy canceled, like we say today. So he tried to get the father canceled, and the story landed into the wrong mind, who had the parasites, who was disturbed. And he ended up, after they posted the information, the address of the school online, the guy showed up at the school. He stabbed the teacher and he beheaded the guy. That's crazy stuff. I know this is ISIS stuff. And as it turns out, the guy was associated with ISIS. He filmed it. He put it onto the dark web or wherever ISIS operates to show off his accomplishments. He wanted to show it off to ISIS. So let's look a little bit at the story from the Daily Mail. Throw your gun, get on the ground. Footage shows fatal showdown between police and Paris Islamists after he beheaded a teacher because fathers issued fatwa for showing Muhammad cartoon to their children. Armed police yelled at the killer to get on the ground, but teenage terrorists refused to drop his weapon. Dramatic footage shows fatal standoff between French police and the terrorists they shot dead last Friday after he beheaded a school teacher who showed cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad to his class. Armed police yelled at the killer to throw your gun and get on the ground during the showdown in the Paris suburbs, but the terrorist ignored the repeated warnings and refused to drop his weapon. There were panic cries when he aimed his gun, which were captured on amateur video from a nearby house, but his weapon was only a BB gun and his ammunition supply of plastic pellets. With the suspect refusing to back down, the officers closed in and fired a succession of fatal gunshots, leaving the 18-year-old terrorist dead in the street. The video was taken by a local resident from a house outside which the incident took place. In the footage, a flashing police car can be seen pulled up just beyond the resident's back garden. Police officers can be heard shouting at the terrorist during the standoff, ordering him to get on the ground and drop his weapon. So, not only did this guy who had this ideology in his mind kill this unfortunate teacher who was just trying to show an expression of freedom, really, but he got killed himself. 2 people dead because of the ideology. And this was just a couple of days ago. The original Charlie Hebdo was 2015. They killed, I believe it was 12 people. They injured 11. And that was deadly over a free speech issue, over someone trying to express themselves. But again, the ideology could not hold up. So why do I mention this? Because we can go back to our own history here in this country, just back to August. So do you remember Michael Reinhold? Do you remember that he killed a Trump supporter in the street or on the sidewalk in Portland? Man linked to killing at a Portland protest said he acted in self-defense. So he had this ideology in his mind. He's Antifa. You can see he says, I'm 100% Antifa. He's quoted as saying that. I believe that was on Twitter that he put that. And he was with some other guy. I really didn't follow much about the other guy. Apparently, let me get the guy's name because I do not remember it. Yes, the killing of Aaron J. Danielson. So J. Danielson, he was walking with a friend on the street. There were protests going on that day. There was Patriot Prayer, which is an organization that likes to troll Antifa. They came to Portland. They were in trucks. They were doing a pro-Trump, waving Trump signs, flags going around town, and it triggered these guys. You know, again, it's an ideology that cannot take criticism. You know, the fact that you're a Trump supporter, you're a fascist. This is the mindset. This is the way they think. It is a parasite. Yeah, you're right, Gad. It's a parasite. So this guy, he shot the guy. It sounds like there was 2 shots. So if you read the reports, and the friend, the witness, says they were walking down the street together or down the sidewalk together. One guy said, there's 2 of them. You know, they're wearing their Patriot Prayer hats. And Reinhold shot. I think it sounds like 2 shots. One hit a mace canister that he had. So you see mace flying everywhere. And the second one killed him. So after a while, this guy was kind of saying, hey, you know, I could have just sat there and watched him kill a friend of mine of color, but I wasn't going to do that. So he came up with this fantasy, and he was on Vice. From the video that you could see, there was nobody. There was nobody they were going after. They were just walking down the street together. So what does this say? Ever since a member of the right-wing Patriot Prayer Group was shot and killed during a violent rally in downtown Portland, August 29th, the police investigation has reportedly focused on 48-year-old Michael Forrest Reinhold, an Army veteran and father of 2, who has provided what he called security at Black Lives Matter protest. So this guy took himself to be, you know, some sort of hero. Honestly, it sounds like he's a paranoid delusional to me. The Wall Street Journal reported earlier that Reinhold was a person of interest in the killing of Aaron J. Danielson, who was taking part in a massive pro-Trump caravan that began in Clackamas earlier in the day. In a conversation with freelance journalist Donovan Farley shared with Vice, Reinhold said he believed he and a friend were about to be stabbed and that he acted in self-defense. Vice News has not independently verified details of his story. And by the way, you know, he was later killed by the police who confronted him. The guy was, he was confronted when he was trying to get in his car a few days later by the police. And he apparently went in for a gun and he started to run away. I think they said that he shot dozens of times and they shot him and they killed him. And you'll see people that are in that ideology, they start to look at it through the lens of that. So here's I guess an article, an opinion from the Tribune of the People, a revolutionary news service. So I guess this is your local communist rag, right? All right. Michael Forrest Reinhold, servant of the people, defender of Black lives, will never die. On Thursday night, September 3rd, a federal fugitive task force murdered Michael Forrest Reinhold, suspected of killing a Patriot Prayer affiliated fascist in Portland, Oregon. The killing of Reinhold could only be considered an assassination at the hands of the police to send a political message that by defending Black lives and rebelling against reactionaries is now punishable by death. Yes, in case you didn't know in revolutionary terms, some radicals do something, then you're a reactionary if you react to it. Because, you know, going around intimidating people, menacing, rioting, that's just perfectly normal stuff that no one should react to. You should just kind of let it go. So you're reactionary if you have any sort of reaction to extremism. Reinhold is a hero, a father, a protester, a comrade who gave his life defending the movement. In an interview published by bourgeois media corporation Vice, Yes, that bourgeois, very right wing vice. Reinhold told a journalist that he was acting in self-defense and that the fascist Aaron J. Danielson, who had spent the evening attacking protesters, was with what words? Because the words hurt. You know, those words that you go around with the Trump flag, just flying Trump. You know, I joked with a friend in the beginning, the whole Trump thing, that someone might show up. It would be like a hate word. Trump itself is a hate word. It's hate language. Someone would show up and like try to kill someone. Trump, right? That's kind of where these delusional people are, that they see like a Trump flag and it triggers them. There was some crazy lady just this weekend who was like, didn't you see in history class? This is what we learned. We're losing our democracy. You have a parasite in your mind, lady. Sorry. That stuff is not happening. It's delusion. Maybe I'm delusional. Maybe I am. Maybe I don't understand. But every time I hear it, what is it? Trump's not going to go away. You remember that video they put? Trump 2020, Trump 2024, Trump 2028, Trump 2032, and they kept going and kept going and kept going. It was a fan that did that. And yet because Trump retweeted it, well, it must mean he really wants to do that. The other one I hear is Ivanka Trump. Oh, Ivanka Trump, she's going to be next. She's going to be the president. If this guy gets in, it's going to be a dynasty. The Bushes tried that stuff, right? They got 2 and they went for 3 and then Trump kicked them out. Clinton, she tried to be number 2 for the Clintons. But, that's not quite succession. That's, king and then the queen. A little bit different. Anyway, this is ideology. This stuff is dangerous. And if you think it's just, the communists that think this, the communist rag. So this is from the Post-Millennial. Portland woman thinks murdered Trump supporter got what he deserved. Don't be an effing Trump supporter in Portland, said a woman on the streets of the riot-ridden city in response to the news that Aaron J. Danielson was killed by Antifa militant Michael Forrest Reinhold. All right. In an interview with James Klug, who was talking to people on the streets of Portland, the woman carrying a Nordstrom shopping bag had no concern at all for the young man who had been gunned down by an Antifa vigilante. In fact, she barely even heard about it. I don't think I've heard of another Trump supporter being shot, she said callously. So, the F what? He got shot. Is he alive? I believe he died, Krug responds. Oh, she says. Tough luck. Don't be an effing Trump supporter in Portland. So if you think this stuff is just remote, it's just the crazies, it's the communists, it's gotten into the regular people's minds. These are the same people. This is a lady. We're losing our democracy. It's a virus. This is the mind virus. Forget about the coronavirus. I hear this whole thing about the mind virus all the time. That's what you got, folks. It's crazy talk. This is not normal. You think Trump is not normal. Your reaction to Trump has been astoundingly, without logic. Middle-aged, masked, and tattooed, the unnamed Portland woman illustrates that she has no compassion for those who are maliciously murdered if they hold views that oppose her own. Even more, she appears to think that his murder was justified, as though that is what a Trump supporter deserves for having the nerve to walk the streets of Portland. The disturbing video has been viewed nearly 800,000 times and was retweeted by Donald Trump Jr., who called it sick and twisted. Krug interviewed other Portland residents as well, who stated their intention to continue to serve unrest in the streets of the Northwest city that has seen over 100 nights of rioting. Like we are here to stay, like a young woman said, if it takes throwing fireworks at the effing policeman, it has to happen, right? Anyway, speaking to Tucker Carlson about his friend's murder, Chandler Pappas said that he believes the political climate is very one-sided and that he and his friends were targeted for their political views, which were made known by Danielson's wearing a Patriot Prayer hat. Danielson was killed in Portland on August 29, and his death was celebrated by Antifa and BLM activists. He was unarmed, save for a can of bear mace. This is from Andy No in a tweet from back then. He was an effing Nazi. Our community held its own. Antifa and BLM in Portland celebrate the homicide of a purported Trump supporter who was affiliated with a Patriot Prayer, a Portland area conservative group. Just being part of Patriot Prayer got this guy killed. In the case of the guy outside of Paris, he killed someone and he got killed. Oh, and by the way, yes, Reinhold got killed too. 2 dead there. So not too long ago in Denver, we had the second killing of a Trump supporter. Now, the story here is that there was a supposed security guard that was hired by a local news team. They said after the fact that they didn't actually hire him, but there was a Trump rally going on and there was an Antifa rally, protest, demonstration. Wasn't a riot this time. And the police had them separated by barricades. So there's a video showing that there was some guy that was kind of a belligerent, bothering the Trump supporters. He got over onto their side. Everything was kind of breaking up. And he was getting in their face, yelling at them. And this guy had a can of mace by his side. Looks like he was, looking to do something in case something was going to break out. And someone split them up. He walked away. And the next thing you kind of see out of the side of the camera is a guy, you hear a gunshot and you see the guy fall to the ground. So there was some other high-speed photography that someone took where you saw that this guy, he was reaching for the can of mace. The guy kind of put his hand, like slapped him away. Next thing you know, you see the guy, the victim, back up. The other guy has the hand out with the gun. He shoots, and the guy falls straight down to the ground. So you can see this is the suspect. What's this guy's name? Matthew Doloff, who's 30. Another guy ruined his life. So it turns out he's not Antifa. At least they don't think so, but he's probably Antifa sympathetic. And he was not supposed to have a gun. This was not supposed to be there. He's not even registered as a security guard. So who knows? There's a whole other story to this, which still has to play out. Anyway, it's just another example of someone shot, someone else's life ruined over what is very likely ideology. Maybe he was guarding. I don't know. It doesn't seem like that. It seemed pretty unprovoked. And so where are we today? Here's a tweet from Matt Schlatt. He's the president of CPAC, Conservative Political Action Committee, I believe. And here's what he said in this tweet today. These flyers are being left in Kansas City neighborhoods. This on top of our former Kansas City National Committeeman getting run over on his yard due to his Trump sign. Please pray that America will reject this violence and hate. So this is completely uncorroborated. In this tweet, you'll see people saying, well, I live there. I never got one of these. So maybe it's phony. I really don't know. But it kind of gets the sentiment of this mind disease where they are. Dear neighbor, you have been identified by our group as being a Trump supporter. Your address has been added into our database as a target for when we attack, should Trump not concede the election. We recommend that you check your home insurance policy and make that it is current and that it has adequate coverage for fire damage. You have been given fair warning. Always remember that it was you that started this civil war. Be prepared to face the severe consequences of your preemptive actions against democracy. You're ruining our democracy! What the hell are these people talking about? I honestly have no idea what they're talking about. And maybe I'm in my own bubble. I could be. But it seems like delusion. They say Trump derangement syndrome. I think it's delusion. Like they see things that don't exist. These people are actually nuts. You really need therapy. And I think really we all need to calm down. Trump is not wonderful, but he's not that bad. You need to get over it. If he becomes president again, you deal with it. It's not that bad. You regroup. You come up with a better message. And the Republicans, if he loses, you regroup. You come up with a different message. You try to figure out how to reform. Because I tell you what, this communist garbage that all these people are pushing, I don't think it's going to be popular. And they're going to have to really do the violent revolution that they want, I think, to get everything. I think they're going to push some incremental socialist stuff on us, but we'll see. But these are dangerous times. If this is real, and this is what people are planning to do, and I'll tell you what, I don't think there's anything that's going to make them think that Trump did not steal the election or that he will not concede the election. I'll tell you what, if he does not concede and he actually lost, I will go out because that's not right. So be careful, everybody. Look out for yourself. There's some people that are seriously infected with the mind parasite. All right. If you like this video, please give us a like, please share it, and consider subscribing to our channel and leaving a comment. All right. Thank you very much.